You're listening to Finding the Truth with Myke Hideous. Cats suck. No, actually, cats are awesome, but my cat is out of its mind. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to Finding the Truth with me, your host, Myke Hideous. Today is March 26, 2024. Golly, I'll tell you, with each day that passes, I sincerely get more and more. I not get more and more. I think I seem to fall more and more into a chasm or an abyss of disbelief and just absolute outrage about what's happening in the world. I'll tell you, I'm at a point. I really am at a breaking point. It
Well,
it
this is your
sucks out
place to
there.
express yourself there, Mike. Go ahead.
Yes.
Let our audience know what is on your mind.
And by the way, that is my co-host and producer, Professor Z, as you just heard him. Hello, Mr. Professor Z.
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, that was very, very invigorating. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Yes,
Hello there,
I'm
Mr.
happy
Mike.
to chime in. Exactly, sir. So, Lord Hideous, what is on your mind? What has got you so stressed at this point?
Well, it's today. By the time people hear this, it's going to be later. So, today a bridge collapsed in Maryland. People died. In addition to that, our President Corpse has officially changed sides. Our country now supports terrorism and the scumbags of Hamas, its leadership, and the rest of its surviving cowardice terrorists, and has really basically said that if Israel continues to carry out the cause, their cause was to eliminate the scum of Hamas. They are now being told to cease fire and withdraw from continuing their mission to eliminate these POSs. And so, yeah, there you go. Biden is officially on the side of Gaza. And by the way, you have Americans who are dropping humanitarian aid, such as food, water, etc., medicine, on the areas of Gaza. And it has been proven that the scum of Hamas is stealing the humanitarian aid. And here's the best part. They're not even using it. They're throwing it away. They're burning it and destroying it. So there you go, folks. The good old people in Gaza, actually, the good old people of Hamas, do not want to help their own people. And so it's things like this that I'm absolutely furious about. But there's nothing I can do. It is the way it is. I'll put it to you this way. If we do not have a change in leadership by the end of this year, we are fucked.
You're not wrong. And it is more, just to recap, I guess, as you were saying, it is more than offensive that our by his actions, he is obviously supporting terrorism and murderers and barbarians that in his actions, and trying to subdue the Israel forces from doing what they should be doing. They have to clear out, Hamas, as well as the entire terrorist network. All of those tunnels need to be destroyed.
That's
They need to just hunt down everybody involved. And unfortunately, there's going to be collateral damage. And the Palestinians are willingly, hanging out there, or sometimes forcibly being told to, stay there. And they'd have no problem basically subjugating their population to horrible conditions. And
That's right.
so, they are fodder. And the fact that there's no other Muslim nation that is willing to take in the Palestinians means that everybody's willing to sacrifice them for this
that
cause.
was my next statement was going to be.
Yeah, there you go.
Egypt,
So I got ahead of you.
Jordan turned them down. Egypt turned them down. They didn't want them. So it just goes to show you these countries, they don't give a shit about anybody except themselves. And
No.
when it comes down to government and or terrorist regimes like Hamas or Hezbollah or any of these other fucked up
Iran.
Iran, yeah, but I'm talking about the groups
Well, they're
like the
puppets.
Taliban and everything. So you got
Yeah, well,
those
those are the
people
puppets.
who are the people who they'll kill their own people if they don't have their beard trimmed right, if their women are not cloaked like the medieval dark ages. So it's these terroristic groups all backed by the scum of Iran who who push this ideology of religion onto their people. And they don't care. They don't give a damn. As I just said, they are stealing the humanitarian aid that is being dropped for the suffering people who are not allowed to go to any other country because no country wants them in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But here we've got people like AOC, for those of you who don't know who AOC is. She's the only one who said, "Oh, let's bring them to America." Yeah, bring them on in with every other fucking illegal alien that we got coming into this country. Great idea, Ayok. You are so smart. I'm so glad you have nostrils like fish bowls. But
Well, her
it is
district
what
in
it is.
particular is crowded with illegal aliens right now. So, that just saying they want to bring in more is more than ridiculous.
So
But
so
to
let me
actually,
give you a word. Let me give you a word to remember. Okay, from the Islamic um, Quran, Taqiyya. You may have heard me talk about it before, but I'm going to repeat it until people know what it is and remember it, and they will identify it when they hear these things. Taqiyya, 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 the practice of lying to non Muslims to advance the ideology of Islami, the death cult. That's what they are, a death cult, so called religion of peace. Remember that, folks. Takia.
well, I'm emphasizing your point. President Corpse has obviously just chosen the wrong side. He should be
Hmm.
behind Israel 100%.
Of course.
And he's proven the fact that, he's now on the side of evil. I don't know how else to say that because,
Are you
anybody.
surprised? Are you
Not
surprised?
necessarily, not necessarily,
Of
because
course not.
obviously the corpse is just a puppet, just like they say for what is it, Bernie's weekend. He's just being used as a puppet by whoever wants to make him talk and act in a certain way. So it's more than horrific the fact that we're at this point and we're actually discussing it, because that there's other presidents that were far more supportive of Israel, and rightly so. They deserve our support, and it's just really horrific what's going on.
So here we go. So prisoners leaving prison will get taxpayers to get taxpayers money. So under this proposed bill by the Democrats, inmates would receive $400 a month for 6 months to allegedly help them get back on their feet. In theory, um, and as it stands, there are no limitations on what the money can or cannot be spent on. The money can be spent on anything from food, clothing, transportation, drugs, weapons, hookers, you name it. There's really no indication. It's basically like a credit card or maybe a
Sure.
cashier's check. I don't know. So it
I'm
goes
sure
on
it's a
to
debit
say
card.
Democrat Eddie Gibbs says it's barely enough for them to get food, which is absolute bullshit. Okay, because
Well,
I
I mean,
live on if I may, I live on a budget in which I can get $170 to $180 worth of food a month. and I survive, and it's just me. And mind you, I live in a house where I pay bills and so forth. So to tell a person that $400 is to tell us that $400 is barely enough for them to get by, I don't believe. To
Well,
go
I
on, it
mean,
says,
just to
well, let me
stress this
finish. Hang
point,
on.
sure,
Let
go
me
ahead.
finish. Hang on. Let me finish the writing here. It goes on to say, uh, where was I? Oh, so we want to know, like, how much is this going to cost taxpayers? And it basically works out to an estimate of about $25 million to be set aside. And I would assume that would be a year for this cash giveaway to reformed prisoners. Now, not for nothing, I believe everybody deserves a second chance. However, there have been so many instances in which prisoners have been detained, put in jail, and then released. And then they get caught for another crime, put in jail, and then released. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. A cop was shot today in New York City by a guy who was caught and released 26 times. So is this potential bill, is this really a good idea? I think we should be a little bit more selective on who we're going to give it to. What were you going to say?
Well, what I was going to point out is that $400 a month, of course, in total, if you don't have any other income stream, yes, $400 isn't enough to live on because sure, it could buy enough food, but you're going to have to be living under a bridge or in a box or in
But
somebody's
don't they put
basement.
them in halfway houses?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure it depends on the crime that you've done beforehand, what your exit strategy, so to speak, is. Whether you go to halfway houses or if you just get released onto the street and you have a parole officer you have to report to once a week. One way or another. The point is that $400, sure, practically speaking, if you didn't have any addictions, if you were good, basically within yourself, which is pretty rare for somebody who's on that level of living a life of crime, it's going to be difficult for you to use that $400. The $400 would be perfect for everything you said. It'll be good for drugs and alcohol and maybe some hookers. Meanwhile, the money that you're going to use to live someplace, you're going to rob somebody to get it, or you're going to do something else that's illegal to get
Yeah.
it, because that's going to give you a couple of grand and that'll give you someplace nice to stay. But I mean, the
Screw the
$400
government.
a month is just, going back to the actual principle, because I do appreciate principles and values, is the fact that people don't appreciate things given to them freely. So if you just give them $400, they're going to piss it away. It's
Of
been
course they are.
proven many, many times in many, many surveys. So if
Countless.
you want to actually benefit somebody coming out of the penal system because of whatever crime they've done, you need to enable them to be able to earn an income, to have them want to work for a living, to get
Yeah.
enough money every week, to so that they could have 500
Agreed.
to a
But we're
thousand
not at
dollars in
that point
income.
anymore.
Well,
People just expect them to be handed money because that's the entitlement of Americans these
because
days.
you know why? Because it's easy. It's they don't want to
Right.
take the tough road, and nobody wants to take the tough road. And so therefore it's the easiest road is that we just lock them up for a certain amount of time, and when they get out, we'll give them a chunk of money, and here, go off and be a good person. Please, really
Our
pretty
money.
please.
Our
Our
money.
money, of course. Where else is it going to come from? Government
Well,
doesn't
don't
create
they
money.
work?
I mean,
Don't they get paid like an X amount as a prisoner to work making license plates, pounding rocks on a road? I mean, don't they
well,
get money that they would put in a savings account for them so that when they do leave, that's what they would use?
I think you're correct. Although your analogy is something of last century, because I'm pretty sure
You
nowadays,
know what I mean?
I know they're
Pounding
not printing.
rocks, maybe not be the. I mean, it's not like
They're
they
not
have
doing.
like a ball chain attached to them wearing a
No,
striped
no, and
suit,
the
pounding rocks on the
license
road.
and
I'm
license
just
plates
saying.
come out of other machines. But still, my point is,
Right.
yes, they work somehow to get income so that they have funds to
Mostly
spend.
road
But it's
construction
not like
or
that.
cleanup.
Sure, but it's not like they come out with like, $10,000 saved up for them to
I
be able to go
realize
off.
it, and
But
if they did, I'd go to fucking jail because they would be making more than I was.
I agree, and not to mention that would incentivize, and one of my favorite words, and if I could say it correctly, incentivize individuals to want to work to get an income rather than taking the easy route of breaking into
Well,
grandma's
that's what
house
I'm
and
saying.
stealing their jewelry.
We've entered a new time in this world, particularly in this country, where everybody's in. They think they're entitled, particularly
Hmm.
the younger generation, and I by that I mean all the ways up to about age 30 or so, and these people think well, the government should give me this money, and I shouldn't have to work because
And if the government doesn't
I
give
have
it now,
I have a tummy ache. I'm not going to work today.
right, but if the government doesn't give it to them now, we've turned in the last 3 years into a society where it's okay to steal between 1,000 or 500 and $1,000 worth of, well, 999 worth of
Right.
merchandise from your average business, and all you're going to do is take it down to the station, get your picture taken, your fingerprints taken. They're going to write down some things, and then they're going to let you go, so you
That's
can
all.
do it again. So
That
I mean,
thank you, Democrat cities.
yeah, I mean, it's
There
just the
are
most
more
stupidest
there
thing
are
in the
more
world. The fact,
businesses closing in places like San Francisco, New York City, Los Angeles, Detroit, Chicago. These businesses are closing by the tens, maybe hundreds, I'm not sure. But they are moving out because they're sick and tired of these fucked up laws by the Democrats who are in charge of all these Democrat blue cities, these sanctuary cities, and they're being robbed, and there's nothing that they can do
and it's
about it.
based on the numbers because numbers don't lie. So when
There
they're
you go.
losing more money from theft than they are earning money from sales, it's time to
What's the
go.
point?
What's the
Right.
point of being there? So they're out of there.
So
So
so here,
interesting that you talked about the city. There was another story I think you mentioned about New York City.
right, the cop getting shot in the
Well,
stomach
there's
and killed.
that,
He
but
was
there
a
is something
father
else.
of a I believe a 3-year-old child, I believe they said.
Right. No, I think he might have been younger than that, but regardless, he's a man in his 30s with, a family and everything to live for, and was just brutally shot down for nothing, really.
Hmm. Traffic stop.
And yep,
They tried
exactly.
pulling him out of his car because he wouldn't get out, and he fucking
Hmm.
shot him.
Yeah,
I
and
hope
the
you
guy
burn
who
in hell,
shot
you
him has
piece of
been
shit.
in and out of the system his entire life, and he
26 times.
yep, and had no concern for taking a human life
No,
because
of
hey,
course
he
not.
stopped me in the course of my day.